Alexa Von Tobel, what was your inspiration for starting LearnVest?
So I graduated from Harvard undergrad, went to go work at Morgan Stanley. By all, sort of stretches of the imagination, should have been good at finance. But I had no idea what to do with my personal finances, and so it was such a simple idea. And I always say the simplest ideas are the best ones, which was I didn't know what to do with my own credit cards and how to think about my rent and all of the different things I should be doing with my money. And I simply said I wish there was a really great digital platform out there that could help me, and LearnVest was born.
And so you created it, and what were the biggest challenges for getting it off the ground?
So I dropped out of Harvard Business School on December 18th of 2008, pretty much like the bottom of the worst recession in 81 years, the Great Recession, if you will. And the biggest challenge for me was figuring out how on earth to get a company off the ground. Capital was tight. There wasn't a ton of venture money flowing around. I was in New York City where there still wasn't such a vibrant startup ecosystem. And so it really was the grind. And I think the hardest thing really was enrolling people to get behind me, to get that little bit of seed capital. I put in a little bit of my own money, which was really scary. But it was really just getting up and running.
Can you talk about the hiring process? You mentioned people getting behind you. How'd you find those people?
I mean, anybody and everyone who would talk to me, I met with. My best question I would ask people after I left a coffee was, do you know anybody else that could be passionate or excited about what I want to build? And it always turned into one or two more intros. And so like a web, I ended up having hundreds of meetings. I was really fortunate this amazing woman named Ann Kaplan cared as much as I did about financial literacy and empowering Americans in their wallets. And she, blind meeting, we really was like a blind date. After our first few dates, she said, I'd love to give you some seed capital.
And then could you talk about delegating? Because when you're the founder of a company, you want to do everything yourself, but eventually you have to trust someone else to give them an important role. How'd you do that?
Yeah, so for me, it was just enrolling anyone and everyone who would show up. So I had a few people that put their hand up and said, hey, I'd love to help part-time for free, because again, I had no capital to pay anybody yet. We took summer interns, and I gave them full jobs. I mean, I would say, here's what you're responsible for, here's what we need done by the end of the week, go. And I think delegating really is a critical skill. You have to be able to let things go, but you have to be really clear about what you want people to accomplish. So for me, it was always very clearly saying, here's what I need, here's exactly what that should look like, and here's by the date that it needs to be done by.
And now, if you wouldn't mind, talk about marketing. How'd you get word out there about LearnVest?
So we did any and everything that you possibly could. So I always say there's no lead bullet. You need, there's no silver bullet. You need a bunch of lead bullets. We did everything from press, marketing, PR, word of mouth, events, business partnerships, campus recruiting. I mean, we literally did it all. And quickly we started seeing a little following growing, and it used to be really exciting where 50 people would sign up a day, then 100 people, then 300 people. And I would sit there and say, wow, I can't believe this is really working.
And if you were to go back and do something differently from when you first started the business, what would it be?
God, coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Exactly.
I mean, honestly, it was so hard. I think I should have slept a bit more and tried to take care of myself a bit better. I really was grinding myself to the bone. I'd like to say relax, but to be honest, I think it was the fact that I wasn't relaxed that really helped me build the business.
And eventually you sold the business to Northwestern Mutual.
Yep.
What was that like?
So we got acquired on our basically just around our 5th birthday by Northwestern Mutual. And I mean, it's every entrepreneur's dream. You build a company, it's working, the enterprise has done something of great value, and it gets acquired. So it felt surreal, and even crazier, I had our first child just a few days later. So in 1 week, I sold my entrepreneurial baby and had our first child, a baby girl.
So what do you do now that you've moved a lot of the responsibility onto the new parent?
Yeah, so I'm now the Chief Innovation Officer for Northwestern Mutual on the management team. And now we're trying to think, Northwestern Mutual is such an incredible mission. It's about empowering Americans' wallets, very similar to what LearnVest was trying to do, except they've been doing it for 161 years. And my job is to keep thinking through all the ways that we as a big company can be even more innovative for our clients and for the families that we care about around the country.
All right, well, thanks a lot for coming on and talking about it.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.